Well, good afternoon, you turkey gobblers. Please excuse the way I look and the way I sound. I'm a little bit under the weather. However, happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there doing the damn thing. And if you are going to have a turkey feast, I say gorge down and have a good day. Look, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to my family over in the United States, to my mom, my brother, my sisters. I appreciate all of you, my aunts, and everything else. I can't always make it back to the United States. Actually, I haven't been back there in forever, it seems. But I want you to know that if I was there, I'd be right with you, enjoying the food, enjoying the family, and everything else. Today's little conversation is about all the craziness that goes into what it is to have a Thanksgiving because it's all about getting with the family, getting with people from across the nation, maybe the world, and you got to do some traveling, you got to do some soul searching if you're going to be hanging out with some folks that I don't know, you really didn't miss in the first place, but now you got to be around them because that's what Thanksgiving is, right? Feel free to chime in anytime you want to in the chat. I have my tablet down here so I can kind of cheat on it and take a look at it because my phone is way too far away, folks. What is the most stressful part about your Thanksgiving and about, you know, all those things you got to do in order to get prepped for it? Well, I jotted down just a couple things that I thought might come to mind. Now, I know I'm in Germany and we don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. So, who am I to talk about Thanksgiving? I'm no subject matter expert on family, except for my immediate one that I made. And I think that this will be helpful for a lot of you. One of the things that I wrote down is if you've been away from your family for a long time and you haven't seen them in years, you might run into a point where you're thinking to yourself, do I just try to blend in? Do I kind of show up and say, here I am and hope for the best? Well, here's a little tidbit on that. Back in 2010, I think I was a recruiter in New Jersey and I hadn't been home in quite some time before that. And I decided I was going to go to my mother's house or my family's house for Thanksgiving. And so I I went there. I drove there 2.5 hours and I just kind of popped in. And I know I told this story not too long ago, but for those that are new, feel free to chime in and drop your comment. Having a little tea, trying to get some of this cold symptoms down. And really that's what I'm doing for this Thanksgiving here in Germany today. All right, so I ended up going there and I was in uniform because I wanted them to know that I was awesome. So I just kind of showed up and, like any well-tuned alcoholic, so to speak, I just kind of blended in and sat down. But I didn't have much in common with them, and that was kind of stressful for me. And it made me feel like I was an outsider sitting outside of a window just looking inside. That's what it felt like. And I really felt like everybody was just kind of walking past me, and that built up a lot of stress. And what do I do with stress? Well, because this is one sober to another, I'm gonna throw some alcoholism in there. I immediately started to think if I had a beer right now, I could I could eliminate this like immediately. And so my alcoholic brain traveled and it started to run and it started to give me hard cravings amongst all this, like, I don't know, it felt like tunnel vision while people were just running around getting food here, getting food there, watching a football game, doing whatever it is they were doing. This story is almost over, folks. Don't worry, I'm not going to dwell out your time. And so after a while, I was like, man, I got to get an exit strategy because I am hurting. I cannot deal with how uncomfortable this is. And that goes with being away from your families for a long period of time. And now you have to be around them and you have to try to act like you belong there. And, in my case, I didn't belong there at all. But there I was this Thanksgiving, badass in a uniform. I don't know what I was thinking with that, but that's a whole nother subject. So anyway, moving along, I decided that I was going to leave. And so I just told my mother that I don't know if she's watching, but if you do, I'm sorry. So I told her that I had to leave and I had to go prep some stuff for the next day at work. Well, I was off for the next week and a half. So I didn't have much to do. So this alcoholic decided he was going to drive 2.5 hours back to New Jersey and just get tanked. But point of that is, folks, there's a lot of ways that you can cope with the uncomfortableness of being around people that you haven't been around in a long time. Perhaps you can ask them questions of generality. How have you been? How are things at school? And on and on. So you can get a little comfortable and they can get comfortable with you. And you're not just a random ass item in a room. Does that make sense today? I don't know. To me, it does. So, you turkey gobblers, let's go for another one, shall we? And please feel free to drop in and drop a comment. I don't know. Maybe even say hello. Hello to you. And there we are, right? Everyone trying to put on how well they're doing. Oh my, oh my. So that the subject of that is everybody trying to be flashy and be like, I got this, I got that. Look at my ring, look at my car, and outdo each other. And that happened in my family a lot of times when I was younger, where this side of the family had good clothes and good things, and they kind of like flourished, and then this side had nothing and government cheese, and we didn't really have much comparison there. But so they'd all be showing like their bling and everything else. And during the holidays, people like to do that. They like to show off what they got, and they like to show off what they have because they haven't seen their family members perhaps in a while, and that can make Thanksgiving and the holidays in general, especially Christmas. It can make it daunting as hell when someone's trying to one up you every time, and that can make you a little bit angry. And one way to navigate through that is to don't even worry about who's got what. Hey, look, if you're happy, you're healthy, just be content with that. You don't have to outdo anybody. Just being there and being with your family can be enough. And when, people like me, when I come to terms with that, then it just makes that celebration a little bit easier. And I saw a second person pop in. I want to say hello. I don't know if you left already, but thanks for showing up. So you don't have to outdo anybody, really. You can just be you. Sorry about the burpees. I'm still a little under. I'm gonna take a sip of this awesome caramel salted tea, and I'm not endorsing it. Yes, I am because it's awesome. So this Thanksgiving, you guys are going to be doing, and if you don't do Thanksgiving, these messages can still apply to you. So don't get thrown off by that. I don't know. It's a U.S. thing, I think, really, the whole event. Actually, yes, 100%. That is true. And how do you, setting your expectations down. That is probably the most important thing that I will talk about for the holidays. Folks, we set our expectations from the second that we think of an idea to the second that idea either comes to fruition or doesn't happen at all. And if those expectations are not met, I don't know. That's how you experience disappointment. During the holidays, if you are traveling and you go to your parents' house and you haven't been there in 10 years, and when you went there before, they used to have a meal ready for you. They used to have your clothes folded. They used to ensure that, you were healthy and that you had money and everything else. And you show up and you still expect the same things 10 years later. Chances are that you're going to be a little disappointed. And that brings me to the Christmas gift. Oh my gosh. The Christmas gift is probably the biggest frustration on the planet, in my opinion, because I think everybody, and I'm going to speak for myself, tries to get that perfect gift and tries to get the one item they think that somebody would enjoy the most. And when they don't like it, the recipient, there is nothing like the look of somebody dying inside to tell you you didn't get it right. And that could be severely frustrating, and that can make you mad as hell. And you might just say, screw it, I'm out of here, and just up and leave. So if you are enjoying this little chat, so to speak, so far, say hello. Oh, my wife just sent a message. Hey, did you make sure that you are something? Ah, never mind. I'll read that later. I would say hello to her, but she doesn't watch these. So, if you don't get that perfect gift, right, you can end up bringing yourself down. And if you are an alcoholic or an addict like me, then your one solution might come to mind, and you might start craving hard about a drink or about, getting high or whatever. And that can lead to, your thoughts of it, that could lead to a relapse. And really, that's what we're trying to stress here. How do you survive the holidays without getting drunk? How do you survive the expectations without letting yourself down? Well, for me, this guy, and I can only share for me unless you want to chime in, then yeah, for this guy. So, what I do to curb cravings and everything else during the holidays is I always play the drink through, especially, and that means that I will actually go from the point of holding it to opening it to drinking it and the result. And I would play that forward. And if that movie doesn't end too damn well, I'm not having that drink. And guess what? I'm not bragging or anything, but I've been sober for almost 6 years, February 21st. And I have learned in my sobriety how to cope with disappointment and cope with changes. And the holidays are all about all of that. And for us, we have to be vigilant about what it is we want to protect and how do we protect our mental capacity so that we don't fall back into relapse or we don't fall back into drinking or drugging behaviors that can damage the world we created sober. And if you're not living sober yet and you want to, then you are able to take some of these tools and put them in your life if you want, not forcing anything on anybody, and see what works for you. My buddy is actually calling on this phone. I might have to think of a different media next time in order to make this a little more advantageous. All right. So, one of the things that I believe, me, this guy with the caramel salted tea, one of the things I believe firmly is that we have to be able to tell, we, the alcoholic and addict, we have to be able to tell people that we don't drink anymore and we don't use. And the way to do that is very, very simple, but can be different for everybody because it's very hard to tell, especially if you have like brothers or sisters that are always like clinking glasses and everything else. And, that's just the family way. Like my family, my father was an alcoholic. So the way I learned to drink was through him. And so if I am so used to that being the norm and so used to at the football game, there's beers and cheers everywhere. How do I tell them I don't drink? For me, it was really hard in the beginning. And I would say when I did go home that one time in band camp with my caramel salted tea as a turkey gobbler, when I did go home that one time, I simply told him I don't drink anymore. And actually, at that point, that was a damn lie. And but when I truly got sober and I went to functions here in Germany where beer is like the norm, beer and schnapps, it was a little bit difficult when my wife would be like, no, don't give him any. He's an alcoholic. Nobody wants to hear that crap. Like, don't tell people my business and throw me on the street. That's how I felt. And as I matured a little bit and as I gained positive ways to communicate, I would simply tell people I don't drink because I have an allergy. They'd be like, what? Yeah, I have an allergy to barley and to hops and things like that. And then they'd say, huh? What allergy? I never heard of an allergy. I said, you ever seen handcuffs? Ha 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 ha. Okay, don't leave. That was my bad attempt at a joke. Turkey gobbler. And so I learned ways to tell people that I don't drink simply by saying I don't drink. And most times, more than not, if it's your family and you have friends that are firm and strong and mature, they'll take it and they will, be respectful of your wishes that you don't drink anymore. And if you're embarrassed of that, you can simply say, I don't feel like it right now. I'm just going to have some water and then maybe later I'll get something if that is your comfort level. But the best way to tell folks you don't drink is to tell them you just don't drink anymore. I don't know. For me, that seems to work. What do you think? I hear crickets, but I appreciate that one viewer that's still here. All right. And unless my chat's all messed up, I don't know. I've had like communication errors every single time I've done this before. Surviving the holidays is all about what you build and what you are able to use in your life to cope with negative events, because being sober when everything is positive is pretty damn easy, but through the holidays when it's the most stressful thing that you have to go through and you have to plan from the morning, from when you get up all the way through your drive, all the way through the cook, all the way through whatever you're doing that day. And if you are deep frying turkeys, folks, please watch them and be careful. Nobody likes a turkey gobbler that can't have turkey. Okay? That's just my little safety message for the day. So once you build strategies in order to cope with those negative events, when things don't go well and you don't give someone that perfect gift or you don't get that perfect gift, just remember you have the gift of health, the gift of life, and the gift to be able to say, I don't drink or I don't use, and I'm not going to do it today. Life is a garden, folks. I wish you a good day and that, I could do, if I can do anything for you, just let me know. Hit me up. You can find me on Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, all those places. I'm more than accessible and happy to help any way I can. I love you guys, and I hope you have a good day. I hope this helped, and that's a lot of hope. I have hope. I'm a turkey gobbler with caramel salted tea. Have a good day. Bye bye. Once I hit this stop button right here. See you later.